for the last 14 years, what has been the success story?
When we first introduced this initiative, everybody was saying, you are crazy. We have a vision to create between 80 to 125 million jobs in the continent. If we don't do this, there is no way Africa can eradicate extreme poverty.
How did this all start?
When we look back in Africa, small businesses are very much fragmented. And how can we support? When we see in the US and Europe, 68% of GDP comes from small business. And this defeats any government's accelerated economic growth policy.
Once again, let me welcome you to the Religion and Enterprise Television, the platform where we discuss issues to do with small and medium-scale enterprises on our continent and how we can build the capacities for them to be able to participate in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, as well as the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We find ourselves in the capital of the Republic of Rwanda, Kigali, and at the headquarters of the AeTrade Group, the Africa Electronic Trade Group, which is based or headquartered in Kigali. And we are privileged to be talking to the founder and the CEO of the AeTrade Group in the person of Mr. Syoum Mulualem. I hope I didn't butcher your name, the second name.
You pronounced very well.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And trust me, this is going to be a very, very interesting conversation. Now, one of the reasons why we create this platform, or we have created this platform, is to discuss issues to do with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and how we can build the capacities of SMEs, particularly those that need to be propped up, helped to take advantage of the trade, either at the regional level or at the continental level. And AeTrade Group is an integral part of the Agenda 2063 plus the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And that is why today we are privileged to be talking to the CEO. Mr. Mulualem, it's a pleasure to have you on our set.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's an honor. Let's begin. How did this all start? For 14 years, you've been working hard to build this gargantuan institution. How did it all begin?
Well, you see, in any developed world, the small business is the engine of the economy, right, the driver of job creations.
Absolutely.
When we look back in Africa, small businesses are very much fragmented. And how can we support to bring sustainable growth in the continent at the national level, regional level, and at the continental level? And how can we be able to support a small business so they can have growth, they can scale up, they can send their children to school? And this is basically the initial thought that has came up. And when we do the research first, the challenges small business faces are enormous. But we came up with three main chronic challenges small business faces. One is the know-how to do business. Two is affordable finance. Three is which we call it soft and hard infrastructure. Right. What does it mean, the know-how to do business? Africans do not know how to do business? No, that's not the case. Yeah. In today's competitive world, it is a very much, we're using the technology, it is an interconnected world that we have. Very much competitive. Whereas over 95% of our small business are traditional business. The traditional business mindset is very flexible compared to the competitive business mindset. Sure. And for example, that the traditional business mindset will say, if I sell 2 items today, it is okay. Mm-hmm. The competitive business mindset will say, I must sell 10 items today. Mm-hmm. The word must is determinant. It will reach its target with their business strategy, marketing strategy, and sales. It will target. But the word must is also that determination that will target the high potential. It is scaled 10 items today. Absolutely. If they sell 8, 9, 7, they will steer in the path of sustainable growth. Mm-hmm. Whereas the traditional business mindset, the word if is very flexible. You may do it, you may not do it. It is a more relaxing way. It is also targeted the baseline, the day-to-day income, the survival mode of 2 items today. And that makes a small business vulnerable, which the second chronic challenge, which affordable finance, has been not there for small business because it has been seen for the number of financial institutions in our continent as a threat, as a high risk. And therefore, they have been neglecting supporting finances to provide affordable finances. Many of the finance has been refusing for small business. But for those who are lucky to get finance, small business finance, is to mitigate that high risk, it has to be a high interest. And that is also the bottleneck to grow for a small business, not only grow, even hard to survive. And the third chronic challenge, which we call it soft and hard infrastructure, soft infrastructure being government policies and regulatory framework. How can we create an enabling environment for a small business? So to do business can be ease for small businesses. For example, on trade facilitation, custom clearance, on the cross-border trade. And those are the challenges for a small business that make them more expensive to be able to compete. So in these 3 main chronic challenges, we came up an integrated ecosystem, 6 major components to address that. And one of them is a training material called Changing the Mindset. Changing the mindset to be competitive, changing the mindset aligning with their business plan, changing the mindset what it takes to be an entrepreneurship. With that prepares the first vetting for the financial institution also. That gives a baseline of preparedness that reduces the risk when you understand your business, what it takes to be your business understandings. That means that the likelihood of falling could be reduced. And therefore, the financial institution can see one element toward this small business to provide finances. The second one is a market linkage. I am producing a product. Without a market linkage, I may not be succeeded. So small business had the challenge to get the market linkage. It's not just only with their own countries, but outside the countries or the region and the continent. And providing the market linkage in partnership with the African Union, we offer a continental marketplace where a small business, they can be able to display their product, market their product, sell that product. And not just only providing them that marketplace, but we support the hand-holding, the walk with the small business, because we want to see results, we want to see sustainable growth. And that marketplace is being there. It is called sokokuu.africa. Sokokuu.africa is a continental marketplace, and the name was given by the African Union. And it means, as you know, in Kiswahili, sokokuu is a common market. It signifies also unity. The third element is affordable finance. And affordable finance, as I mentioned to you, is the chronic challenges for a small business. For any economic growth, if we cannot provide affordable finance to small business, job creation will slow down. For them to scale up, they will stay the same place. Ultimately, economy is not going to grow. So we have been advocating for a number of years that affordable finance for a small business. And we see in the number of ways small business means small. No, it is the contrary. When we see in the US and Europe, 68% of GDP comes from small business. And they are also around the world, when we see the developed world, the major job creations. And we need to make a major investment on our small business if we need accelerated economic growth. Therefore, we have been working on small businesses and how can we be able to create a small business. In many of the countries that small business has been neglecting affordable finance, but today that we are working to reduce the risk for all the financial institutions, we can be able to provide the end-to-end processing of financial platform where they can have the due diligence, the vetting process, and the risk assessment and the decision making of on the risk, that the platform can be available to all microfinanciers, medium and large banks. They can be able to use this platform. It is called AeTrade.Africa. AeTrade provides the end-to-end affordable finance platform. It is not only that for any of the financial institution on microfinance, we are now also launched in July during the African Integration Day, the African Strategic Investment Alliance. In this African Strategic Investment Alliance is basically, it is a fund of funds to be able to provide affordable finance to small businesses through microfinance, through the AeTrade platform, where we have already to provide and empower the microfinanciers throughout the continent, that not only providing them the platform, but also the funding available. And that the only condition that we can provide is you cannot go beyond single digits to provide affordable finance. This is something transformative for our continent that can be provided. That is the fourth element. And the fifth one is we do have, you will visit later on in one of our departments on research and innovations. And this research innovation, what it does is in the last 30 years, research has been made, finding has been hundreds, thousands of finding was made about a small business. That is only for policymakers. As I mentioned to you earlier, is that over 95% of small business are traditional business. It is not based on findings, it's not based on research. So what we are doing is we are giving, we partner with a number of universities and academias, and we are providing the chronic challenges and the problems facing small business and the various sector of the businesses, what small business do, and then finding the solutions. We are giving to our young PhD students to challenge them, come up with the solutions of the chronic challenges. We gather all those contents throughout the continent and the problem they face, and we want to make available this study, and this case study, for small business. It's not about a small business, it is for a small business. So any of existing small business, any of a startup, for this thousands of case study that we will be making available publicly, they can use it and they can have now planned based on that study. They can build up their business model, their business plan, so they can be able to operate based on knowledge to their business. That brings sustainabilities. So that is the fifth element. The sixth one is we want to talk also success story. Success story, a young boy or a girl who graduates in agriculture, about agriculture, and providing with this ecosystem that we are bringing, the affordable finance, the know-how to do business, and their success story from the east part of Africa to the west part of, from the west to the north and the south. That success story galvanizes and inspires the young people to be part of in the movement, to be part of in the initiative, and that copycat effect at this point in time, we need it because it is already, that success stories are sometimes, it can be a much greater than going to school, the step-by-step effect. And those are the 6 major components that we are.
Interesting. Interesting. This is very commendable, and I need to applaud you for that visionary, bold step that you have taken and has brought it to fruition. I mean, when we walk into your facility here, we're fascinated, and we are very excited that the continent can boast of such an innovative product on our continent, and we hope that it would make the impact that is expected. Mr. Mulualem, I mean, listening to you, it gives me the impression that in the next, let's say, 15, 20 years to come, the challenges of Africa with regard to small and medium-scale enterprises should be a thing of the past. But let me ask, for the last 14 years, what has been the success story so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, one of the major breakthrough is that when we first introduced this initiative, everybody was saying, you are crazy. The fact that I know that if we don't do this, there is no way Africa can eradicate extreme poverty. And what we see today is that there was no talk about 14 years ago about small business. It was AeTrade Group as bringing it to a number of member states, discussing it about the effectiveness of investing on a small business. Sure. Today, you can see left and right talking about small business. That disseminating that awareness is one of the success. Wonderful. And the second success is that that AeTrade Group now, after 5 years ago, we signed a strategic partnership with the African Union to bring and disseminate in a most transparent and inclusive way to all member states to participate in this grand initiative. And that is the second success story. The third one is when we came talking about affordable finance, even 5-6 years ago, it was nobody was listening, and you must be very crazy. Small business has been the extreme high risk. What are you talking about? That how are you going? There is no way we can reduce the risk. And AeTrade Group was coming. We guarantee you up to 50% of the risk factor. And can you take the other 50% of risk? And let's walk the walk together. And it was not accepted. But today, hundreds of microfinanciers are coming forward already with the AeTrade Group, that to walk the walk together and to serve small businesses. And those are the number of success stories that is being coming. And of course, it has a slow pace, but to really establish at this magnitude of initiative is in any organizations. In some ways, some people that it is impossible. You cannot do that. How can you have 5 regional headquarters and 1 continental headquarter? And even very hard to have one headquarters in the continent. And how can you have such host country agreements to be able to mobilize it? But the leaders they know it. You talk to them in a second, they immediately know it because they see the challenges, and a number of head of state that we are very grateful who is championing it, and they see it as early on. And that is how we see, and reflecting back, we came a long way.
Interesting. We will come to the practical application of your products and how SMEs can tap into it. And I'm very fascinated because we have a continent whereby out of every 5 SMEs, 4 struggle and eventually die out, as the statistics show. But here you are, providing such a practical solution to SMEs. So how can they tap into? We'll come to that. But the question I want to ask you, we walk into this place, and this is the headquarters for Africa. Am I right? And then apart from that, you are also headquartered in Ethiopia, in the southern part of Africa. Tell us about the structure of AeTrade Group. How did you end up here in Rwanda? Is it a government say, look, just come and be with us, or what?
Yes. What we did is we knew that Africa benefits from these innovative systems, right. And we have a vision. We have a vision to create between 80 to 125 million jobs in the continent. When we say that, we cannot do it alone, but with all member states' participations in the continent. And strategically, that we cannot, one location is not enough to do that. And we can be able to spread by region. And we can have one continental headquarter and then regional headquarters in order to reach out per region, the relevant, the respective countries. And for that, we submitted a proposal to the African Union. We want in a most inclusive way where all member states can participate. We are looking a home, a permanent home, to be located, 5 regional headquarters and 1 continental headquarters, 6 countries. And that can be through competition.
Competition?
Yes.
By the nations?
Yes.
Okay.
So the African Union sent a note verbal to all member states, and 18 countries competed.
Wow.
And from that 18 countries, the government of Rwanda won the continental headquarters, and Ethiopia won the East African headquarters. Eswatini won the Southern Africa headquarters. Ghana won the West African headquarters, and North Africa and Central Africa to be concluded.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So let me go back to the 3 chronic challenges that you mentioned. And if I recall very well, you talk about the mindset. So can you walk us through the practical aspects of how are you addressing this mindset chronic challenge for SMEs on the continent? I want us to take them one by one, and then we'll come to your products, because one of the things I'm really interested in how the affordable financing is being done. But let's look at how you are addressing the chronic problems, starting with the mindset issue now, which I'm sure dovetails into your capacity building products. So walk us through. And you're talking to a lot of SMEs on the continent. So if somebody says he's in, let's say, South Sudan, and he wants to participate in the AeTrade Group platform or products, how does the person go about it?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Let me just give you one step back in order to highlight why did we came up with this 6 major components. And in the last 30 years, a number of support being done. Government has been trying to do their best to support small business. The international community, development partners, a number of academia, civil societies participated to support small businesses. And thousands of projects has been done and billions of dollars has been invested. But when you look back the return on investment on that what have we invested on this and where is the result? The result you may not see as visible as you are expecting. And that's what, for the obvious reason. One is that we work, all of us, in silos.
Silos, absolutely.
And small business challenges are there so many. And it's not just only the solution providing the finance. It's not only the knowledge providing the finance that will be sustainable. It's not only the government policies that can, if we can enable it, and the problem will go away. It is a number of challenges they face. But when you come up with an integrated approach, that ecosystem, and you can ensure that no small business left behind. So now coming back to your question to address about the training material of changing the mindset, how one small business can participate in that. In our platform, it is at the AeTradeGroup.com. There is available. They can be able to register. It is free. And once they register, that can be available. The marketplace, it is available. And they can walk the walkthrough. But we go beyond that. Right now, in all our regional headquarters, what we do is even translating it to that local language where we are at. We will be continuing under country program to a number of countries we will be establishing. So the person who do not read right, he can be able to hear it from the local dialect. So we are extending it to that level now because to bring that inclusivity. And the person who could not be able to participate the digital marketplace because who do not know how to describe.
I was coming to that. Yes.
To describe their product or take proper pictures or uploading in the technology. We have partners that in every country right now we reach 300 partners that who's supporting it and helping working on that because we are a social enterprise. Our platform can be like Amazon or Alibaba, but we have a completely different business model. It is a shared prosperity element on it. And what does it mean, this shared prosperity element? Sokokuu belongs to all Africans and all the citizens who want to work in the trade and support our farmers, our small businesses, that we can give that enabling environment. And how does it do? They will generate income from zero investment. A young person who want to support the farmer, and the subscriptions that is coming, the revenue that's coming, it is not 5%, it is not 10%, he or she will be 50% shareholder of the Sokokuu income. And this is what is the shared prosperity element is all about. So for anyone who take the training of the changing the mindset and automatically to go to the marketplace, it gives them the baseline of the digital market learning, and then they get the hand-holding and the support through our affiliate and partners, in which initially that we provide support and special training that we provide to those affiliates before they start helping the small businesses or the farmers.
Now, so how are you addressing the issue of, we talked about agriculture. In Africa, not all our, areas are technologically, applicable. The old farmer in the village producing matoke, maize, whatever, if he's to hear about this, how does he come on board?
Yeah, thank you. You see, we are saying that we will be operationalizing financial and digital inclusion.
Right.
And your question is directed in the digital inclusion.
Absolutely.
To be digital inclusion and the beneficiary of digital technology, you don't need to be digital savvy, or you don't need even to get near to the digital.
Explain to us.
Yeah. So we are working in all the countries, galvanizing young people to be part of in this initiative and register in our platform to be part of the partner and affiliate in your village. Either you have familiar with agriculture product, or you are familiar with the small businesses. Anyone who has went to school, anyone who has graduated, you can contact us, we can train you, and we can bring that enabling environment to work with Sokokuu to support the farmer who do not read right.
I see.
The benefit of that digital inclusion is that is where we get into. Because this is the fastest moving than a person who do not have the instrument or the technology or the tools, or who is already are not interested to learn the technology, but can be the beneficiary of the technology through the tools and through the human resource that we will be providing throughout the continent. So this is how we can be able to bring.
Interesting. Let's look at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area as an institution. I see there's a huge linkage between you and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. I saw you guys signing an MOU between the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and then AeTrade Group. Could you tell us a bit about that? And what specifically is AeTrade Group doing in support of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area? And how does the small and medium scale enterprises in the informal sector benefiting from that partnership?
Thank you very much. From day one, before we signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, we believe on the free trade throughout the continent. This is the way to go to boost intra-Africa trade, to promote made in Africa trade, Africans with African to participate on the trade. And for that, how can we be the enabler of that? That our leaders, the member state, that the negotiators, all, they have done their work. Now, how that can go to at the grassroots level, and how can we be able to make the major participations comes from small business. And when we look back, for the obvious reason I told you, that small business is a fragmented market. Without the support which I just mentioned to you, there is no way that we can be able to come up with small business to participate in a major way on the African Continental Free Trade Area. That is how actually we were inspired by our head of state, by member state. Our head of state make a legacy of the century for agreeing the African Continental Free Trade Area. But how can we make their visions and a reality? Without this support that we bring the chronic challenges for small business, we are not going to use the full potential of the AfCFTA. That's why we were very keen and honored to sign with the African Continental Free Trade Area to support.
So one of the arguments that some people have given, or one of the school of thought, is that the African Continental Free Trade Area is to the benefit of large and companies as opposed to the small and medium scale enterprises, particularly those in the informal sector. What are you doing about that?
Yeah. Well, that...
I mean, as you know, in Africa, most of the SMEs are in the informal sector. So what steps are you taking, practical steps, to bring them on board, the African Continental Free Trade Area as active participants?
Yeah. You see, any developed world that you see the story that become today a multinational companies or corporations start as a small business. They've been given that enabling environment for them to grow and become multinationals and global companies. And we need to create that enabling environment for a small business. For the small business, it is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity that not only thinking to the local market, now you have a 1.4 billion populations. The sky is the limit for you to grow. But how can we support those inspired small businesses, youth and women? How can we be able to support them on the cross-border trade? How can we support them that they can be the player of the regional trade and the continental trade? And this is what the ecosystem is all about. We provide the continental marketplace. We provide for them to scale up affordable finance. We provide for them to be competitive, changing the mindset. We provide the research for them based on knowledge. They can be able to grow their businesses. And this is, without this support, that fragmented market, it is not going to move. And that is what is our aim, our vision is about, to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The small business participation is very, very important. We want to see under the African Continental Free Trade Area how many of the small businesses they grown to become medium and large and multinational companies. This is our primary objective, basically.
So to some extent, I mean, if I listen to you very carefully, then the issue of visas and movement from, free movement of people and the rest, if we are to go digital, that will not even be a bigger issue and challenge for Africans any longer. Is that right?
Well, there is a number of movement and awareness about visa. A number of countries has already conscious the benefit of dismantling the barrier. Basically, Africa is Africa. Yeah. You should move from anywhere you want it. And that consciousness is growing. A number of member states embracing it. And already in East Africa, already you go with your ID card. Sure. And that is promising already. And that accelerates on regional integration. And that integration is develop a regional value chain. That value chains bring sustainability. So it is all interconnected and correlated. So we are very, very happy seeing that development and continue to advocate for that.
So maybe this is, I'm sure by your answer, it means that the question I'm going to ask, are you very confident about the integration process the continent is going through so far? The pace.
We see the slowdown.
Right.
But the awareness and the movement is increasing. In fact, today with the technology, with the social media, in the blink of your eye, you see so many informations. And that develops so fast, that consciousness. And a number of head of state I hear about the free movement, about integrations. So information disseminates so fast, and awareness has been movement. I'm very optimistic, confident that integration is on the way forward.
I see. The last time you and I met was in Addis. And what brought us there was the African Integration Day. And on that day, you had hosted us for job creation and all of that. Do you mind telling us a little about what is the purpose of the African Integration Day? You'll be surprised that for many Africans, we don't even know that 7th July is African Integration Day. Many of us don't know. How did we come by that, and what is the essence of that?
Yeah. You see, the African Integration Day, again, I commend the Ambassador Albert Muchanga, the Commissioner of Trade and Industry, Mining, who has been instrumental on the establishment of the African Integration Day. And since its establishment, we have been participating because we really mean it and we believe in the integration. And last year we participated. We've been given an hour and a half session on that, and we have come up to bring awareness. Our focus is always on small business and the grassroots, and we brought the product and service that we are offering to small business for that awareness. But when we look back, is how many of Africans knows the African Integration Day? And the fact the matter is not that scaled. And this year, we took it in a more unique way for the first time, is being one of the very challenging time that we have is on the job creation. And the job demand every single year that 30 million young Africans turn into 16-year-old. And over 19 million young people coming to turn into the job market. And governments alone cannot do that anymore. And basically in this African Integration Day, bringing that oneness, bringing that if we can be able to unite public and private sector together, the academias, the various group, the religious group, all of us together, that how can we be able to focus on the job creations? And what is the challenge and what is the opportunity? So we propose this to the African Union in partnership with the government of Ethiopia. And look, this is the #1 topic in the continent. And let's talk in that African Integration Day on the job creation. And we are honored for the African Union to give us 3 days space to host that day. And to disseminate, we were expecting to disseminate actually up to 200 million people to be able to watch and broadcast to their local language. And this will be, Job Creation Forum will be an annual event. And now it has been well received by a number of member states, and a number of pledge has been taken. And next year we will be reporting and we will work together in this. And we were very honored to take that.
So what practical steps are we going to take to ensure that many young Africans understand and are brought to the level where they would appreciate this Integration Day? Any practical programs in place?
The practical...
To deepen the awareness.
Yes. Mm-hmm. To deepen the awareness is, in this African Integration Day should not be once a year. That should be the symbolic day that need to be all of us to put remembrance and to looking forward and attend that event. But it needs to be disseminated down by region and by the countries, that it's not just only in the African Union, but the African Integration Day at the national level that can go and bring that awareness at the national media. So the young people can be aware, because today's young people are tomorrow's policymakers. And we want to make sure that can be happen.
Interesting. If you have just joined us, this is a Regional Enterprise Television, where we are discussing the issues of the role of faith-based institutions in the enabling in becoming enablers of SME development on our continent. And today we are Kigali at the headquarters of the AeTrade Group, where we are talking to the founder and the CEO of the AeTrade Group, Mr. Mulualem Syoum, who is taking us through the whole strategic objective of the AeTrade Group and how they are enabling SMEs on the continent, not only to become active participants of the African Continental Free Trade Area, but also to grow to become mega businesses on the continent so they can create a lot more jobs on our continent. And I know my viewers will not forgive me if I don't go back to the affordability issue. So I am from Ghana, and let's say I come from a village somewhere, in a remote village in Ghana, and I grow plantain, or in the case of Uganda, where I live now, you say matoke and the rest. My father gave me maybe 60 acres of land, and I have been cultivating, but I don't have the capital. Now I'm watching this program and I hear about financing, affordable financing and all of that. How do I assess this financing on the is it sokokuu?
AeTrust.
AeTrust. How do I assess that financing?
Yeah, a very good question. You're talking about farm. One of the very focus areas that we are working on is also on agriculture. In our research, one of the revealing area what we see is the young people who graduate in agriculture want to stay in a village and modernize their parents' farm. They could have gone to the city, they could have gone out of the country, they are well educated, but they want to stay in a village and modernize their parents' farm and perhaps also expanding it and supporting the community. And when they go to the bank, primarily is you don't have experience and therefore you don't get finance.
No-go zone area.
Yeah. And two, if they get lucky, is okay, you are a very high risk because you don't have experience and the interest is so and so. Some of the interest that we see is between 36 to 56%. This is not acceptable. And this defeats any government's accelerated economic growth policy, strategic policy, because that young man or young woman, they will never get out of extreme poverty because they will continue to pay to the bank. They will never put any money in their pocket. So that's what is for that reason that we put is this affordable finance. When we say affordable finance, let me just be clear, we are not just giving away money.
So charity.
Yeah, it's not a charity, but it is really being affordable. So how do we give to that person and how they can be able to participate? In every country, we will be working with microfinance and we will have an agreement with them, a term of how they're going to proceed. They will use AeTrust platform to support them, to empower them. We provide the funding and the due diligence will be made. That farm that earlier you mentioned that you have it is yours or your parents, and you're really going to work on it. There is a due diligence process in that and the vetting process that will be taking place. And rest assured that you will be having it with a single-digit financing. From the various countries, based on the fees and so on, it will vary, but it should not go beyond single digit.
I see. So in other words, the difference between your setup or your platform and the normal traditional financing institutions is, number one, the costs of the borrowing, maybe the due diligence processes and all of that, but that the SME practitioner or the entrepreneur is very much assured that as long as he passes the due diligence processes, he's going to get the financing, and that the cost of borrowing is going to be largely affordable as opposed to the microfinance and the rest. Now, how are you going to, should I say, ensure? I mean, we've seen a lot of funds that have come to Africa where you come to the government gives the money to the microfinance companies to on-lend to the SMEs, and it ends up being something completely different. Either it ends up into political parties and what have you, I mean, in my country, Ghana, we have what we call the Manslock. Manslock is more like a microfinance kind of fund, and it ends up, different things altogether. How are you going to police that?
Yeah, the technology that we are using, one, reduces the overhead, and two is it's also the mitigation process that we have is much more superior than the existing legacy system. And just only to give you, for example, is when the small business or the farmer needs the money, they need it now. But we don't have an adequate mitigation system to the unknown risk. And in order to go the processing, it may take 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. By that time, you already killed them, the business itself. And
the person would have lost the opportunity.
Exactly. And the person lost the opportunities, the country also at the national level, because we are not giving that enabling environment for that innovators and dynamic small businesses to grow, the country's economy also is not growing. That's what was happening in the last 30 years, basically. And if we can be able to provide within 5 days affordable finance after it is registered, that is where by just give without even the risk assessment, by providing, you already reduce the risk because you are giving that money before they are about to close. But 3 months after you giving, already when they need the money was day one. But after 90 days after you are giving them, they are about. So they will take even your money to the sink. So that to answer your question, how can you be able to deal, is because of this platform that we are empowering either to those existing companies, that how they're going to operate the platform, the end-to-end AeTrade, the end-to-end financial platform that we will be offering, and then the funding will come there. That will speed up their overhead, their expenses, as well as also the risk assessment also will be reduced because it can be mitigate the challenges that have been faced in the past. So through that process, we can be able to provide. So that's why this integrated system, when the small business needs the money, but for them to grow, it is not only the finance, but also the know-how, but also the market linkage. When you give them the money, give them with the market linkage. Otherwise, the money alone
will not help.
There is no market. They produce and there is no market.
There's no market.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the impression that in that context, you work with a number of private sector institutions, like the Chamber of Commerce and and the rest around on the continent. Is that right?
Yes, we are very privileged also working with all the Chamber of Commerces, the regional Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
Working with them and gathering the number of small businesses through them. That is one of the area that we are accommodating.
On your website, something that fascinated me, and because I was very excited about it, because I'm a key protagonist of, I advocate a lot for young people and women. And on your website, I see the global competition for youth, SMEs and startups, entrepreneurial competition. Do you mind telling us a bit about it? Because this is coming close, November 9th.
That's right.
To the 15th. How do I participate? Well, not me, but how do young entrepreneurs on the continent participate on that?
Yes. In the last 1 year, we have been advertising for this coming November during the intra-Africa trade fair to sponsor 150 young people. Just only to tell you as an example that we had started in 2019 another youth competition, and which is in 2021 November, that was in South Africa, Durban. Okay. And in our platform there was registered 4,936 young people from 51 countries. Wow. And we were very much impressed in our young people's innovations, in which the ocean of knowledge you can see. We have a very well-taught criteria. to evaluate from the competition, and then choose only 150 of them. It was very tough, I'm telling you, to choose from. We have a large team to go through the process, and we selected 150 of them from 41 countries. And this is a small investment to take them there and host them for a week and make their exposures and present their innovations, provide venture capitals to those matured product already they have available. It was a game changer. And what is fascinating is to see with that small contribution you do, the top 10 after that in 2022, during the African Media Review, they was invited to come to Lusaka, Zambia, the top 10 of them. And then we see also how they progress from that. And then the top 2, we invited them to come to Niger last year in November during the African Industrialization Week Summit. And one of them was from Nigeria, the number 1, who is producing the shoes from the recycled water bottle.
Wow.
And he is now a global producer. And one of them, the second one is a young lady from Kenya who developed an application for elderly women, it's called early screening for health before they come to the city. Instead of coming 2 days or 3 days to come all the way to the city, they can make from their space an early screening from the village. And you see this kind of development with a little support. And the innovation to our young people are huge. And the opportunities are there. And we have been advocating to make an early investment for the young people in that regard. And we will be working greatly.
Amazing. Mr. Mulualem, this television station is about faith-based institutions and how we can help them to become enablers of SMEs development. And the pedagogy of that is because you have a continent that most 99% are religious, either in the Christian fraternity or in the Muslim fraternity. Do you think that it's about time we brought faith-based leaders closer in the discourse of developing businesses? In every village, you find a church, you find a mosque. And one of the reasons why financing has become so expensive, for example, is because of lack of ethics. You know, people borrow, they don't pay, they take the money, they go and do something else and all that. And all these are behavioral patterns that can be addressed by faith-based leaders. Do you think that there's a way that we can bring them together to help in the discourse as in this discussion?
Absolutely. Faith is the core of humanity, where social interactions, value, principles for thousands of years that has been used. And before the law, faith is the law. And that is how it has been, business has been utilized in societies. Now, more than ever, that bringing together through faith a number of value and principle, business with value and principle, is that trust is built, that put us together. And faith is the number 1 core to bring us together. And it is a no-brainer.
Well, if you've been watching us, this is the Religion and Enterprise Television, where we discuss issues to do with faith-based institutions and how they can become enablers of SMEs on our continent. And we do so primarily within the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and the Africa Agenda 2063, the Africa we all want. And today we've been privileged to be talking to the founder and the CEO of the AeTrade Group. And as you have already heard, they're doing so much on our continent to bring SMEs on our continent closer in the context of sustainability, but also making sure that they can become active actors of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area on our continent. And if you watch the screen, the websites are there. All the products they are delivering are also on your screen. Please make sure you visit the website. The website address is on your screen. Visit the website and make sure that you can get in touch. It doesn't matter where you are. In your region, there's a headquarters there. And as you can see, the names of all the regional headquarters buildings are on your screen. Get this knowledge, get this information, visit them in their regional headquarters and make sure that you participate. Particularly if you're a young person, the global competition that is coming up in November, if you're innovative, apply. Only God knows. Maybe who knows, you'll be the next Facebook, Africa Facebook or whatever on our continent. Or because AeTrade Group is willing to hold your hand and walk you through for you to be a mega star on our continent. I mean, I cannot thank you enough on behalf of the youth of this continent. I mean, this is a continent that by 2050, as you know, we're going to be the largest producer of labor for the entire world. And to see what you and your team are doing here in the African Electronic Trade Group is amazing, and I need to commend you on that. I can see that you've been working so hard, to come to this level. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It has been a blessing to be a part of this challenge, and
right.
We see a number of success and work, and when the young people succeeds.
Absolutely. So, if I were to ask you, if a young entrepreneur from any part of the continent were to come to your office one day and ask you if we were to advise young people as far as starting business in the current climate condition that we find ourselves, in the multipolar world that we see now, that's the lead camera there, for the entire 1.2 billion Africans, what would be your advice by way of parting words? That you have so much confidence in the continent and the youth in particular and the women. And so from where you have come and the expertise that you have gathered over the years, if you were to give some advice to the young people and the women who you and I believe that they are the leaders and the what we call the captains of industry of Africa, what would be your advice to them? On that camera, please.
Thank you very much. To the young people, that this is a time for you to shine, and don't take it for granted. And hard working is always need to be there. And don't settle. Continuous learning, continuous reading to grow. And the opportunities, the sky's the limit. And please follow us in the AeTrade Group for those who has already innovations, for those who has already product, for this already has proposal for their businesses. Look at our website. Either under AeTrade Group, you will find the marketplace called sokokuu.africa, the training material changing the mindset, the affordable finance AeTrust.Africa, with all those combinations to your success. Thank you.
Mr. Mulualem, it's been a pleasure having you on our set. And on behalf of my team and the youth of Africa, we want to say congratulations for the great work that you are doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We are proud of you.
Thank you very much.
You.
Africa needs you.